Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to Be the Man. And of course, we couldn't do it without the Hall of Famer, the greatest of all time. Ladies and gentlemen, Nature Boy Ric Flair. Rick, how are you, man?
See, man, how are you, buddy?
Man, more
Steve,
excited than ever to be here with you. It's going to be a fun week for wrestling fans. And boy, a lot's happened, not only in wrestling, but in football. Can you believe the Eagles streak is over? They finally lost. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, it's been a great weekend of football. The damn Vikings eased over again. Damn. I wanted to send an SOS to Shelby.
Oh my gosh. Are you not a Vikings fan at all?
Fucking no.
Okay, I didn't know.
No, I was after, but you know, I lived in the South so long.
Right.
You know, I was away for one. I've been gone, like, not to give away my age, but I've been gone for 50 years. 51. No, I love Minneapolis. But I'm out of. I used to be like a baseball and Twins and a Viking fan, of course, growing up, but not anymore.
Well, of course, you and I are mostly interested in college football. We've got 4 undefeated teams sitting on top. We got Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU. Of course, Ohio State and Michigan on a collision course. Call it right now. Do you think it's going to be Michigan, Georgia at the end?
I do.
I think it's going to be Ohio State and Georgia, but I hope it's Michigan, Georgia. I think that would be fun.
I think Michigan is going to do better than they. Michigan is really good. I don't know if you've watched them or not. They got a good quarterback, and that running back is unbelievable.
Yeah. They're really, really good.
Ohio State's got the hype behind them, but Michigan is playing well, and after beating them last year, I don't think it will be a confidence issue. It's not like they can't do it. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and Pro Bowl was great. Got Brady looked like he was 25 years old.
Can you believe that? The only guy to ever throw touchdowns in 4 different countries. How cool is that?
Yeah, but I mean, the velocity on the ball and Aaron Rodgers came back. I mean, I'm happy for that. You know, they always want to beat up on the older guys on these sports shows, but God, I thought Brady looked great. I think Rodgers. I mean, all the guys that do is catch the ball. He puts the ball there. They just got to catch it.
Right.
And that kid, that rookie, looked really good. He's healthy, and Christensen or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm happy for him. I'm really happy for Jeff Saturday.
Oh my!
They were all patting him on the back and then going, "No, he's the greatest guy of all time, but he didn't deserve that job." Yeah, but it was offered to Marcus Spears. You know damn well he'd be taking the job.
Well,
would say no, right?
Did you see Bill Cowher's rant about that?
No.
Where he said it was, I think he would like it, because I was with you. I was like, man, this is out of a movie. This is a great story. And then I saw Bill Cowher's perspective, and he said, hey, listen, this is a disgrace to the coaching profession. You've got a room full of assistants who've been there week in, week out, not just this season, but year after year after year. And they've offered Jeff Saturday an assistant's position on 4 separate occasions. And he would always say, no, I don't want to do that. I want to spend time with my family, but I'll consult remotely from Atlanta. And now he's in on day 1. He's the boss of all these coaches who've been there the whole time. And I get why that's being criticized by folks in the coaching industry, because I never even considered it that way. I just thought, man, how cool is this? Talk about a guy painting outside of the lines. We're trying something new. And damn it, it worked. He won week 1. It was crazy. It's like out of a movie, dude.
Yeah, but he also acknowledged the fact that he was counting on his assistants to
do it.
You know, to do their job. I mean, to me, I'm happy for Jeff Saturday. You know, Bill Cowher was old school, and he was successful in that. But you know, if the world was the way it was 20 years ago,
right,
we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
So, Rick, there's a lot of stuff going on in wrestling. Of course, this weekend's the big AEW pay-per-view. We see MJF getting his first real big world title shot on pay-per-view like this. It'll be him taking on Jon Moxley. Of course, Moxley has really been one of the MVPs of AEW this year, especially with all the stuff going on with folks going down with injuries and suspensions and what have you. But a lot of folks think, man, MJF is hotter than ever right now. Some people are adamant that he is going to be the next big baby face. What would you predict happens this weekend at Full Gear? Does MJF become the man for the very first time?
Well, he's got a lot of momentum. Moxley's doing a hell of a job though too. I don't know if they want to make him a big star, he wins.
Right.
That's totally a promotional call. But I mean, how the deal goes. If you're that big and you've got that much momentum and you're getting that much attention, like from guys like you and me and people that really care about wrestling, then you got to go with MJF because he's the hottest, most current, item of thing that people talk about wrestling right now. Him or who wrestled Roman now? Jake?
Oh yeah, Logan Paul.
Logan Paul. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, that's why I look at it. I mean, you and I like wrestling, period. But that damn Logan Paul put on a hell of a show with Roman, man.
Yeah, he did, man.
I mean, he's like, I can't remember who said it, but he's better than that. Cornette said that. He's better than 90% of the guys that work full time.
Well, I don't know that I would say he's better than 90%, but I would say that, yeah, he's a lot better than anybody would have ever imagined. I mean, maybe the best 3-match wrestler of all time.
I'm just saying, I'm going with just listening to Cornette because I obviously don't follow as closely as he does, but I did watch the match, and man, the kid can work. I mean, I've been told the Hurricane spent a lot of time with him. And Shane Helms is a hell of a performer, and I was blown away by his performance. But I was blown away by his performance with The Miz too. So
yeah,
I think he's done really good. And 90% obviously is embellished, but he's better than some of the guys that have been around for a long time.
Since we talked about WWE here a little bit, we'll come back to Full Gear. I do want to ask your opinion about the big rumor going around because, boy, there's a bunch of them about our old pal Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, I love that rumor.
A lot of people are saying, that the WWE has reached out and made an offer. Apparently, Mr. Austin had a great time at WrestleMania this year and was open to the idea of doing other stuff. And as I believe the rumors go, he's got an offer to do something this year. And all of a sudden, randomly, we started seeing Stone Cold post some training videos of him doing some circuit training and whatnot. And it's got everybody sort of wringing their hands. What is this going to be? And so there's been a lot of discussion. If it happens, who should Stone Cold face at WrestleMania? One of the ideas that Dave Meltzer has floated out there, what he called would be his dream match, would be John Cena versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, sort of the face of two separate generations. I like that. I also didn't hate the idea that I saw floated out there. What if we did Rock and Austin one last time in LA? That could be big. And then maybe there's another option. I saw some folks saying, what if he wrestled CM Punk? That was teased 10 years ago. I don't know that Punk's contractual status would allow it or if he would be back from his injury. I don't know any details about any of that. But as far as a hypothetical booking, if all the pieces were on the table, would you go with one of those or with somebody who's currently on the roster?
Well, I love this kind of stuff. Here's the deal. If, people forget that Steve retired when he was 39. I don't think I realized he was just 39 years old.
Right.
I mean, by the way, I saw my documentary yesterday, and if I live till it airs, it'll be the greatest thing ever produced on TV.
When is it supposed to come out?
It's 2 hours long.
Oh, wow.
2 hours. Man, it covers everything. I don't even know where they got some of the pictures. I know they got stuff from the library, the WWE. I mean, Peacock, they're all partners. I know exactly what day it airs, but I'm not allowed to say anything. But I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful because the reason I'm throwing this in. Steve's in it a lot. Taker's in it a lot. Sean's in it a lot. Megan's in it a lot. Ashley, Post Malone. I mean, Stephen A. Smith. It is the most accurate depiction of my life ever imagined being put together.
That's awesome.
And it took 2 hours, but I swear to God, I sat there and watched it, and I cried, laughed. But it's so spot on. And they didn't, as promised, they didn't pull any punches.
Really?
Not one.
Okay.
Not one. They didn't pull any punches, and that's what makes it so good.
Yeah.
It's what I've felt. It's what I've experienced. It's what I've gone through. It's what I've done to myself. It's the bad choices I've made in life, the good choices I've made in life. It's my family responding honestly. It talks about the airplane crash. It talks about the getting hit by lightning. It talks about me being sick. Yeah, I was blown away by it. So getting back to Steve, because he's in it a lot. I think with Steve, it's gonna, if he's like Edge, maybe time and technology or whatever, his neck is healed. But Steve was hurt real bad. So to go out there and do what he did with
Kevin Owens
was fantastic and a lot more than they anticipated. But for Steve to put on the tights and go out there and wrestle as Stone Cold, he'll take a lot of pride in himself because he's a man's man, and he is in great. He always stays in good shape. Steve does. So, but he'd want to go out there, and he doesn't look that much different than he did when he was. I mean, his body is still great. He looks good, but he'll want to be, knowing his ego and knowing who he is. He'll want to be Stone Cold. You know what I mean? And if he wrestled CM Punk, he needed to beat him in 30 seconds.
Oh,
so that's not the answer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, 30 seconds. Stone Cold Steve Austin, CM Punk. Come on. Give me a break. Can't even mention their name in the same breath. Please. The Rock and him, I don't know. They could look at each other and it'd be just a question of who's doing the favor. Because they're not going to wrestle for an hour. John Cena, I like that idea too. But, it's like we talk about with The Rock. The decision was made sooner than we know about it, because if Steve's getting ready to wrestle a real match, real time in LA, it's going to be damn good.
Yeah, it is.
But, I mean, come on. I don't mean this bad, but CM Punk just can't, act like he acts in one company and go to the other and act like that and come over and expect to be in a main event. If he was in a main event at WrestleMania, you'd have a riot in the locker room. Think about it. He didn't leave on good terms. He's not leaving the other place on good terms. And they're rolling with Steve. I mean, it's not about his ability. I'm just talking about that. I can't fathom WWE even entertaining bringing a guy in that would be putting him ahead of Styles, Orton. I mean, you could have Steve wrestle either one of those guys. If Steve can work, if his neck's okay, Steve is a working fool.
Oh, for sure.
He could wrestle Randy. I mean, you'd have guys jumping off the roof that brought Punk in there, threw him in the main event of WrestleMania. Don't you agree?
Well, listen,
am I going to run First Family Mortgage tomorrow? Am I?
I don't think you are.
Would all the employees commit suicide if you gave me that position?
Well, hang on now.
I'm asking you the question.
I'm asking you a question.
Okay, my son-in-law, Ric Flair, who's dumber than shit, knows nothing. They can hardly turn the phone on. He's going to start running the company, guys. To do everything he tells you to do. And you walk out the door and said, I'm going on a safari in Africa with Megan. I'll be back in a month.
Well, help me understand. If that's really the way you feel, why are you behind Jeff Saturday getting a head coaching job?
Because he was 6 times All-Pro.
Well, what does that matter about coaching?
Because he's a hell of a player. Number one, being a 6-time All-Pro, having a Super Bowl ring, is not a guy that's not accomplished anything. Like Marcus Spears, he had I Googled him because he was cracking on Saturday. I Googled him. He's got 10 sacks and 236 tackles. He ain't All-Pro.
Just hypothetically, how was Nick Saban's pro career?
Nick Saban's pro career? I don't know.
Exactly.
I guess he didn't very well the Dolphins, right?
Being a good player doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to translate to being a great coach. And I just think it's interesting that you love the Saturday thing, but you hate the idea of somebody coming in and jumping into a main event. And I would argue,
no. But you're not. Saturday didn't leave the Colts on bad terms.
What does leaving on bad terms have to do with anything?
But it's because Punk left WWE on bad terms.
How many guys have left WWE on bad terms and came back into a big spot? All of them, including Cody. Just saying.
Yeah. But okay. Here's the deal. Cody didn't sue the company. I mean, there's bad terms and bad terms.
Well, I'm not arguing that. Technically, WWE sued Punk, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's a little different. Cody left, and there was a hard feelings because he couldn't have his last name. I know the whole history of that deal.
Right.
Okay, but they still celebrate Dusty. They respect the shit out of Dusty. They wanted to hang on to his name because that's just the way the WWE know. You know that going in. You sign away your life when you work for them. That's why, as much money as I was making, I had to go so that I could do stuff on my own, like this show with you.
Yeah.
Like the Ric Flair drip and the stuff with the Mount Everest and Car Shield. They wouldn't allow me to do that.
Right.
Because they want to control your career. And a guy like me, they just wanted to put me out the pasture and pay me a lot of money to sit home. And I mean, it sounded great in theory, but then I started looking at other opportunities that were coming around, and I decided that I wanted to do something else. And working with you and doing all this other stuff, I could have never done the last match. I got as much notoriety out of the last match. Didn't you tell me we trended number one on ESPN and stuff? I mean, we weren't on AEW or WWE, but we were in the main event news for 3 months building up to it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Am I saying that right?
No, you're exactly right.
Yeah. It may not be everything we wanted it to be, but for me in particular, and for you as one of the promoters, and I mean, we got a lot of notoriety, and we're not even a promotion.
No.
We're a 3-month promotion. Does that make sense?
We ran one show. Yeah.
No, but I mean, you made this documentary. I mean, to me, I know the three of us are own it, but man, when I die, to me, that thing will be worth a fortune.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at that, the one yesterday, and yesterday is phenomenal, but that's put together by Peacock and WWE.
Right.
These billion-dollar companies.
Right.
We put this together with your imagination and direction, and I mean, I give you all the credit for it, but I mean, I got a ton of notoriety for that.
Yes, you did.
And I was 73 years old. But at the same time, I haven't sued anybody. I haven't left anybody. I mean, you know what I mean? I left on bad terms, but only because I wanted to get out of there. And I got mad at them about the trademark, the man, which still, I mean, why do you think I posted that thing about that senator this week?
How fun was that, man?
Yeah, but I just wanted to make sure that they spelled my name right instead of putting up Becky Lynch.
Oh my gosh! What's wrong with you? I think you and I think it's a lot funnier than maybe some of our other people in our life too. In case you missed it, I want to play the audio. Maybe Steve's got it, but it was from Face the Nation this past week. I can play the audio here. I can't believe this is real, but this is Senator Tom Cotton talking to the host of the program, and he was asked if McConnell should remain a Republican leader. And I can't believe this is an actual thing, but here we go. Let me play.
Should leadership elections in the Senate be delayed until December? And should Mitch McConnell remain as a Republican leader in the Senate?
Well, I don't see why we would delay the election since all 5 or 6 of our leadership elections are uncontested. The great wrestling champion Ric Flair used to say, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And so far, no one's had the nerve to step forward and challenge Senator McConnell. So I support Senator McConnell. I support the other slate of candidates for our leadership elections. I think it's better that we move forward with these elections. All
right, you get the idea. We're
not trying great to champion.
I just thought it was hilarious, man, that everything is wrestling. Here we are in politics, and they're name dropping you. That's some crazy stuff, dude.
And they spelled it right. And it wasn't Lynch. It was FLAIR or FAMOUS, whichever way you want to put it.
I love it.
You got to give me 2 claps and a Ric Flair woo.
Woo!
This is a lot more. This is you and I bullshit. A lot more interesting than talking about Randy Savage.
Hey, let's talk about CM Punk again, because I'm fascinated by your take, and I feel like maybe
I don't mean beat him in 30 seconds because of talent. I mean because of the way he's leaving these companies.
Well, I mean, clearly that.
Hey, Colt Cabana walked up to me the other day. I never met Colt Cabana in my life. I'm at a signing
nice
for
guy,
Fitterman, right?
Yeah.
And Colt Cabana came over and wanted my autograph. And I didn't know who he was. I've never met him, right?
Right.
And the guy goes, "This is Colt Cabana." I said, "Oh, man, good." I stood up and shook his hand. I said, "What's going on with you and Punk?" He said, "It's a long story." So Punk's got more long stories with people than I do. I don't know.
He was, you go back 10 years. 10,
he's a nice kid, by the way.
Who, Colt Cabana?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. He's
really
the
nice
OG
kid.
of podcasts.
He's a good worker.
Yeah. The Punk thing, though, I mean, he was the top guy for the company besides John Cena in 11 and 12. And, I mean, you could argue other years too, but man, those 2 or 3 years, 11, 12, 13, man, it felt like it was really Punk's show. And there was a whole lot of.
Is it ahead of John Cena?
No, it was him and John Cena were the 2 top stars in the whole company.
Okay.
But
Did
the
he ever
idea,
work?
oh, he can work. Yeah. And he's great promo. And I just,
No. Did they ever work?
No. Oh, yeah. Cena. I thought you meant Austin. Yeah. They had some of the most legendary WWE matches ever. Money in the Bank 2011. People still talk about. The crowd was just on fire.
Cena and Punk?
Yes.
Yeah. I wasn't aware of that.
So it was just, I mean, he was.
Well, I knew he was a top guy. I'm taking nothing away from his skill. His interviews are great. I was merely talking about the fact that well, finish your story. Go ahead.
Here's my point. I appreciate when you said, "Hey, man, the locker room, and he's going to come out of nowhere, and he's going to be in the main event." I mean this totally respectfully, but WWE kind of had Kevin Owens on an island for 5 years. Great talent, great promo, great matches. One of my favorites. And then out of nowhere, he's in the main event with Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania, and they tore it down. Fantastic job. I knew it would be. Owens is great. However, he was kind of out of left field to be an opponent, in my opinion, based on the way WWE had been presenting him. But when you go back to the promotion of the big WWE 2K game, which maybe you were familiar with at the time, they had a big sit down with Punk and Austin and JR in the middle, and it was a hypothetical. What would happen if Punk could walk into the Attitude Era or Austin could walk onto the set of Monday Night Raw tonight? And what would that look like? And boy, fans were chomping at the bit of that hypothetical match 10 years ago, which is why I think it pops up now that, wait, Punk's coming or Punk's out maybe on the AEW side and Austin's coming back. What if? And I'm with you. I don't think it's going to happen. I think I might go with the John Cena thing.
You're educating me now. You're educating me. How old is Steve now?
Let's look that up. I did look a minute ago. He finished his career, his WrestleMania match with Rock back in the day.
Yep.
He was only 38 years old. So you're exactly right.
I said 39. So
he's 57 now. He'll be 58 by then. He's going to have a birthday next month. So he'll be 58 years old, AKA the same age you were, I think, when you wrestled Shawn Michaels.
59 I was.
Yeah. So he's, I know that Sting's now the thing we all compare everybody to. Just because he's still going at such a high rate, but he's 63 right now. So Steve coming back, he's still younger than Sting.
Yep.
So who would you put him with? Would you go with Austin Cena? Something else? Austin Rock? A current guy?
Well, first, I mean, Austin Rock would be huge. Austin Cena, anybody Steve Russell would be huge.
Yes, correct.
Okay. But I didn't realize, you're once again, that's why I like we catch up like we're talking on the phone. I didn't realize they had done that. And this has nothing to do with Punk's work. It was just saying because of my understanding of how he left WWE.
Yeah.
And my understanding of how he's leaving, which I heard a lot about this weekend at that signing, how he's leaving AEW.
Well, hey, you got some scoops for us?
No, I mean, I guess they're just trying to figure out a way to buy out his contract. He's not coming back. I'm just told this by AEW people.
Yeah.
That the Young Bucks are already back. And didn't they play work last week?
No, they haven't yet, but I think everybody assumes that we're going to see them tonight and they'll be at the pay-per-view this weekend. It's not exactly a secret that they're coming back.
Okay, because somebody told me they were back. All right.
Yeah.
So once again, hearsay. You know, when you get a bunch of wrestlers together, you hear a bunch of stuff. And,
well, I mean, listen, they're running commercials as if it's a commercial storyline thing. They're trying to set up a trios match because technically the Bucks and Kenny Omega were stripped of the trios titles as soon as they won them because they had the whole backstage situation. So I think the folks who are the champs now, which is the Death Triangle, the Lucha Bros, who we think a lot of, and Pac, they're going to be in a 6-man this weekend on pay-per-view, or at least that's what people are speculating, and I think they're right.
Yeah. Well, actually, I flew back with one of the guys, one of the higher up guys from the signing. I don't want to mention his name. He's the one that told me the Bucks were back.
Yeah,
and that Punk was not coming back. So it wasn't some random guy.
So, two questions now: who would you go with for Austin at WrestleMania? And then two, do you think we'll ever see Punk in wrestling again?
Well, from what I understand, he has saved his money. He's done real well. I don't know the answer to that. You know, he gets a lot of attention, and that's what draws money. So you never say never. I don't know the answer to that. When I said Steve needs to beat him in 30 seconds, I mean just because Steve Austin, that character, kick ass, da. You know, if Steve does come back, he'll be ready to go. And you know, 59. You know, I was ready to go physically. I didn't have mentally. Steve's never had a self-confidence issue.
Right.
And if he believes in himself and he wants to be stone cold, brother, if they haven't sold out the day they announce he's wrestling without even naming an opponent, kind of like we did with me, they're gonna sell tickets. So yeah, I'd love to see it for him personally. I think it's every time Steve says something nice about me, I just appreciate it because he's so highly thought of as a human being, so respected in the business, and him walking away for that year, he regrets it, but he made a decision and he stuck by it, and that's who he is. He's that big. I mean, they kept asking me yesterday about the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah,
and I had one final interview for the documentary, and I kept going, well, the documentary, if you're really looking at wrestling for what it really has been in the last 50 years that I'm aware of, the two biggest stars are Hulk and Steve. Okay, Rock was a huge star, but he didn't stay as long. Okay, the best gimmick and the most talked about gimmick in the history of the business is The Undertaker.
Right.
Okay, and the greatest worker of all time, in my estimation, and I haven't seen anybody close to him yet, is Shawn Michaels. That's my Hall of Fame.
That's your Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, but here's the deal. When you look at me and my career, that means I'm shitting on Harley Race, I'm shitting on Jack Briscoe, I'm shitting on Terry Funk, I'm shitting on, you know what I mean? And in my eyes, Harley Race is always going to be the most respected human being ever to walk that aisle, as I used to say. He was the world champion 24 hours a day. And if you hung around Harley Race, he had the license plates 7 times champ on his Porsche. He had no problem telling everybody in the bar, Harley Race. Just the name alone throws a curveball at you. Started in the ring at 13. Come on. How many stories do I have to tell you? So the brunette gets on the plane. I could see she was staring a hole at me, staring a hole through me, and getting a lot of attention. So I said to the stew, flight attendant, who's the chick that everybody's Googling, their eyes at, or Googling or whatever? It's Priscilla Presley. Whoa. Does she know that Harley Race, the 7-time world champion, is sitting in one row behind her? As we pulled up to the gate, Honolulu, there was 500 people. They opened the door, and I'm sure she thought the entrance and the applause was for her. I walked up on the ramp. There was a poster, 10 by 10. Welcome, 7-time world champion Harley Race. That's the way he talked. I swear to God. Third inning. What do you want to do for a finish, Mr. Race? What's your finish, kid? Drop kick off the top rope. I'll move.
This episode is brought to you in part by TitleMatchNetwork.com, where right now you can take advantage of their holiday special. Save 50% off all new memberships with coupon code Conrad. It's all lowercase at checkout. This includes every pay-per-view and video on demand. You got hundreds of exclusive live streams every year, and an endless amount of pay-per-views, shoot interviews, documentaries, and more. One of the biggest collections of women's wrestling content on the planet, plus a ton of Title Match originals, including their new interview series with legends like Greg the Hammer Valentine, Sabu, The Godfather, and more. Title Match Network is the only streaming platform to bring you the entire WrestleCade weekend. You've got RVD and Shane Douglas's live podcast on the 25th. On the 26th, it's the WrestleCade Super Show. You got Big Show, you got DDP, you got Kurt Angle, you got Eric Bischoff. What about Ladies Night Out 11? It's on Sunday the 27th with Iva Lees, Tessa Blanchard, Sue Young, and AML Wrestling is happening on the 27th. From what I understand, I can't believe this is real, George South is going to be wrestling Nick Gage.
Yep.
You heard me.
Yep.
TitleMatchNetwork.com, the perfect gift for the holiday season. Take advantage of this holiday special. Save 50% off all new memberships with the coupon code Conrad. It's all lowercase at checkout. If you don't like what you see, cancel anytime. That's TitleMatchNetwork.com. Use our coupon code Conrad. That's all lowercase. Do that at checkout, and you'll save 50% off all new memberships. How about that, Rick? A bunch of wrestling on sale.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
Are you going to that show?
I'll miss it. You know, normally I have to be in North Carolina for part of my Thanksgiving. This year, I'm doing it here in Huntsville, and I'm thrilled to be able to.
You're doing what now?
Thanksgiving is just in Huntsville this year, so no travel for me.
Leslie's coming there and everything?
Oh, yeah.
Good deal.
Here's the real question. What's the Nature Boy doing for Turkey Day?
I don't know because I have to work the next day, believe it or not.
Where are you going?
Somewhere with Chad, with the cannabis.
Oh, I got you.
And it's hard for me to go. If I can get a direct flight, it's always easy. I'm going to Chicago, to answer your question.
Well, you can get a nonstop from Huntsville to Chicago.
You can?
Yeah.
Well, I may do that then. That's the only thing that's holding me back. I don't have I'll find out this weekend because I'm going tomorrow with Chad for the week, and then going to Chicago again with Fitterman Saturday. But
I really need Megan to look at you across the Thanksgiving table and say, "Dad, did you get a new watch?"
Yeah, yeah. One of my greatest stories.
Tell everybody your favorite Megan Thanksgiving story. Maybe some of our folks haven't heard it before.
Okay, so on Friday I was in Baltimore. No, on Saturday I was in Baltimore wrestling, and I came back to the Marriott bar with Undertaker, Hennig, and Harvey Grant. Horace Grant's brother, who was playing for the Washington Bolts. So we're drinking. And then I went to Sabatino's, and I met two girls. Or I maybe met them at the Marriott, went down there. So I wake up in the morning, there's two girls with me, and I look around, I get up to go to the bathroom, look around, I don't see my watch or my money clip. I go, okay, what's up? Oh, you threw your watch in a plate of spaghetti and said you had 11 more at home. So, what am I going to do? Call the cops? I'm married, right? No. So I called Earl Hebner, we went down to Sabatino's and dug through the garbage looking for my robe. I know damn well they had it, but I just thought, well, I'll try. Well, I told Kurt Hennig, I said, Hennig, please, I lost my watch. I got to go buy another one. So don't say anything to anybody. I walk into Cincinnati 2 days before Thanksgiving. What time is it, Flair? I kind of watch, right? So anyway, my friend Robbie Kanoff, you remember that name?
Oh, yeah.
Had a jeweler in Philadelphia. So I flew to Philadelphia the day before Thanksgiving, bought the same identical watch, except it had baguettes on it instead of diamonds.
So instead of round diamonds, they're squares or rectangles.
Squares, yes. Yeah. So Thanksgiving dinner, Megan has got to be, it's 92, right? So Megan's got to be
18 years old.
Well, yeah, I guess she was 18. Okay.
Yeah.
And she kept looking at my dad. Watch. Dad, when'd you get a watch? I said, what are you talking about? I said, I watched it. Dad, no, it's not. Did you put a different face on it? I said, no, honey, what are you talking about? The same watch. And she's like blowing me up on the watch, right? So finally, Beth goes, I go, walk in the kitchen. She goes, what'd you do? Did you buy a new watch? I said, no, I didn't buy a new watch. She said, same watch. I never changed. All these years later, yeah, I bought a new watch. Had to do that 3 different times, by the way, in 50 years.
How many times have the Hebner boys gone dumpster diving with you looking for those watches?
Just once.
Oh my goodness. What a life. What a life. Well, the rest of the card this weekend, I know everybody's geared up for Full Gear this weekend. Of course, we talked about John Moxley and MJF. If you had to make a bet, is it MJF's time or are they sticking it with Moxley?
If they're pushing him, I'll just say it like this. He had during the time off and all the negotiations and whatever decision he made to come back, obviously Tony came up with the money and Tony made what he considered to be the right decision, which I think was great that he stayed. He would have done very well at WWE, but I'm proud of him for staying there, which means Tony made him happy. So there's only one way to go with a guy. You don't cut him short.
Yeah.
You don't say, well, let's get 3 matches out of it. You get him over, and then you go back and try to get it back 2 more times.
I don't like.
And if they have a hell of a match and he does good, they leave it on him.
I agree. I think that's what
I have not looked at their heel roster close enough to realize how many opponents you would have over the next year or so. But I just like I'm telling you, and I think it's been great. Leaving the belt on Roman for a long time is the best thing that happened.
Yeah, I'm
not sure that leaving both belts on him was the right decision. But the only way a guy really gets over is to have the belt for a period of time. You know, every week that when you turn on TV, especially if you miss the one, when I'm traveling, sometimes I'll miss a show. But when you got a different champion every week, you can't keep track of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the run that Roman's had is fantastic.
No doubt.
Yeah, and I just hope, and he, by the way, he texted me the other day, I hope that Cody gets a shot at it. He said it's a chip that his dad never had.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only chip that Dusty missed in his career was having the WWE Championship.
I hope Cody gets it. I think a lot of people are pulling for him. And there's a lot of debate about, there's going to be 2 WrestleManias, right? So it's a Saturday night and a Sunday night opportunity. What's going to be the main event of each? You got to think Roman and Rock, if that's the plan, is the main event of one. And you got to think Austin's on the other, which makes you wonder, what's Cody going to be doing? Maybe it is going to be Roman and Cody if Rock's not available, but it's going to be interesting.
Well, here's the deal with Rock, and it's like I said last week. I hope all of them wrestle, but you're talking about the debate about who's going to get their Duke raised. That's a whole different subject.
Yeah,
on every match you're talking about, Cody and Roman, that's not an issue. I'm sure Roman would put him over in a second.
Yeah.
I'm sure Cody would put Roman over in a second.
Yeah.
Okay, but as we start climbing the ladder with Steve and Rock, I don't know.
Yeah.
And what do they have to gain by putting each other over? They don't need the money.
Right.
It's just the opportunity to do what they love doing the most, and that's being in front of 80,000 people, which we all get a nut doing.
What
Hell,
about
I went crazy in front of 8,000 people in Nashville.
right?
It's the greatest feeling in the world to know that all eyes are on you.
Yeah,
But The Rock and Steve have that anyway,
right.
just in the way they run their personal lives. So it's got to be the thrill of the rush. That won't be about money. There's enough money in the world to buy Steve or Dwayne.
Certainly not.
But I mean, what it does is it makes so much great conversation like we're having right now and speculation.
Yeah.
And keeps people wondering.
Well, the other thing that hasn't been discussed.
But you see, when they start talking about Steve, the attention falls off The Rock, which makes me think that The Rock has already said, guys, I'm not doing this.
Right.
I will, but I'm not doing the favor. As much as I love Roman, I ain't going to do the favor. I have nothing to gain by that. I'm the biggest actor in Hollywood, the biggest star in Hollywood, and why would I be 0-1 back into my comeback here in the ring?
I am curious what they do with Logan Paul. If Logan Paul is around, you got to think he's going to be a big part of WrestleMania. I could see them doing
he
something.
won't be ready to go with that knee injury. You kidding? He's got three torn ligaments, right?
I don't believe so.
No? What do you have?
I know he thought afterwards there was a lot of speculation of what it was, but I've seen training videos of him and he didn't immediately go to surgery. So I don't think it's as bad as he initially thought. I don't have any inside information.
Yeah, that's why you're helping me out here. I thought he was having an MCL, ACL repair.
I think he thought right after it was MCL and meniscus and maybe ACL, but that was like a judgment call just walking to the back right after the show.
Oh, that wasn't the doctor's. Okay. I thought
maybe it was whatever medical personnel was on hand, but I don't think, I mean, I know he went home and did an MRI because I saw footage of that, but I've also seen him like doing rehab training exercises since, and he didn't just go straight to Birmingham, which made me think, okay, maybe he's going
to. I'm elated to hear that because I figured the guy was been on a shelf for a year.
Can you imagine though, him and John Cena at WrestleMania? About mainstream, or him and The Rock at WrestleMania?
Yeah.
I mean, those would be big opportunities for sure.
Yeah. But you're going back to this again, and I respect him a lot, but God, what do you do with Rand? He's the best worker in the company.
Right.
He's coming back.
Yeah.
See, he's not even mentioned in the WrestleMania process. And he's never wrestled Roman.
Well, I don't think that's right. Let me look.
Well, not for the title.
Well,
I mean, I'm pretty sure of that. You would know better than me, but I don't think they've worked for the since Roman's been champion.
Let's take a look because I think you might be onto something because I can't remember one right off the top of my head.
No, and if it had, you'd remember, I think.
Yeah, it looks like a bunch of tag team opportunities. You're exactly right. It's been years, so they've saved that one, and there's still.
And Randy's going for number 15, right?
I know that when he comes back, he's going to be in a big program right away.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm curious what they wind up doing with the ladies, because as we've established, you and I both think they're going to have to do something big with Bianca Belair, and of course we know Charlotte's on her way back, and Ronda Rousey's still hanging around with the other belt. I think there's a chance, as we're just talking through this might be the biggest WrestleMania ever that we're getting ready to see here.
It very well could be, and it's in the perfect place for all the hype.
Oh, no doubt.
Nothing like Hollywood, right?
No doubt. Tons and tons of mainstream opportunities and celebrity involvement, I'm sure. But that's what makes it fun. But before we get there, we got that AEW pay-per-view this weekend. I think this will be the first time we've seen the former Paige, Saraya, butchering that name, is going to be taking on Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. I think since it's her first match back, she's got to get the dub, huh?
Absolutely. I mean, there's an example we're talking about a severe neck injury. I don't know how all of a sudden she got well, but I certainly wish her well. She was a hell of a hand.
No doubt.
And she's still young, and I wish her nothing but the best.
A four-way with
I kept hearing the name Saraya.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize it was Paige.
There you go. That's her real name.
I missed her on TV, so I missed her, and I've been traveling so much, I've missed some of the AEW shows. But yeah, I'm glad to see she's back up and running.
Nyla Rose is back up and running too. She'll be challenging Jade Cargill. I kind of assume Jade's going to win that one. We got Luchasaurus having a steel cage match with Jungle Boy Jack Perry. They were, of course, a big pairing for a long time. An old school steel cage match. This could be a coming out party for Jack Perry here, don't you think?
Yep, I hope so. He's a great kid.
Tony
and
Storm.
It won't hurt the other guy to put him over.
Oh, not at all. No. We got Tony Storm defending her title against Jamie Hayter. Lots of eyeballs are going to be on that one. We've got the AEW World Championship Eliminator Tournament Final. As you and I are recording, we don't know exactly what that's going to look like yet. We know the tag straps are on the line with the Acclaimed and Swerve in Our Glory. The Acclaimed are really one of the standout stories of the year, Rick. I don't think a lot of people would have ever guessed they would be as popular and as over and as in favor with the fans as they are right now. What do you think of the Acclaim's act? Anthony Bowens, Max Caster, of course, Billy Gunn, Scissor Me Daddy. Nobody would have guessed that would have been.
Well, I was just going to say, you know, when you're talking about guys that are up in age that are still working their ass off, look at Billy Gunn.
Oh, well, he looks phenomenal too.
Yeah, I think he's 57, right?
It's crazy too, because he looks maybe better now than he ever has.
Yeah, but he's also working great.
Yeah, he's 59, by the way. 59.
I Googled it the other day because I'm watching the ring going, holy shit. So, I mean, we're talking about guys with some age on them that look great and are performing at a high level. You can't leave. I never got to work with Billy Gunn. He's a hell of a worker.
Yeah, he is. And
so, I mean, I think it's great that he's out there.
Big. Like, he's Hulk Hogan size, but nobody thinks of him that way.
No, I've been around Billy a lot. He's a great guy. I actually made a European tour with him. We did an autograph signing over in Wales, and I got to spend some time with him. He's a great guy, too. But he's a working fool. His kids are good. I mean, and he's 59.
Yeah.
So, you know, but, you know, going back to Steve, I mean, Steve, you know, in my estimation, is the biggest star in the history of the business. So,
oh, for sure.
If he'll come back, you know, Steve is a very competitive guy, and he'll want to be in incredible shape. You know, he won't be like me wrestling in a t-shirt.
Well, somebody else is going to show up this Sunday or this weekend in incredible shape. Talking about Jeff Jarrett. He's going to be tagging with Jay Lethal to take on Sting and Darby Allin. I can't believe Jeff Jarrett's back on pay-per-view, man. We've joked before here on the show that if cats have 9 lives, Jeff Jarrett somehow has 10.
He got the rub. Him and Jay both. They left Memphis, now their main event in a goddamn pay-per-view on AEW. What do you think?
I mean, you got to
I should be getting 10% of their goddamn money.
I'll let you tell Jeff about that arrangement.
I'll tell Karen.
Yeah, there you go. And then there's a 4-way title match for the Ring of Honor World Championship. A friend of the show, Sammy Guevara, going to be in there with Claudio Castagnoli and Bryan Danielson, 2 of the nicest guys in the history of wrestling. And Chris Jericho is putting his title on the line. Is it time for the belt to come off Jericho? What do you see happening in that one?
Who is he working with?
It's Jericho versus Danielson versus Claudio versus Sammy Guevara. Claudio, by the way, is Cesaro.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay.
Jericho's pretty hot right now. I'd leave it on Jericho.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing a good job. And he's, you know, there's another guy with some mileage on him, but he still looks great. He's working hard. And if I were Chris, I'd ride out, you know, I think what Chris was looking for was that deal that Cody jumped on first. Was to be the first guy to roar back. So if he elected to ever leave there, he wouldn't get nearly the pop that Cody got. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I mean, Chris would be smart to me just to end his career there.
I think he signed an extension. I mean, I think he'll wind up finishing there.
That'd be smart on his part because he wouldn't. I don't know that he'd get the push. He'd certainly get the respect, but I don't know if he would get the push from WWE that he's getting there. And why let go of a good spot?
I think him and Moxley have sort of stood out as the AEW superstars this year, the backbones of the company. So I think he'll be there till the end. I am curious. You know, lots of people criticize AEW. That's like a cool thing to do, and I think my only criticism right now is when I look at this lineup, man, Bryan Danielson is not featured enough. And I think that's maybe a fair criticism of his AEW run. Like, I'm such a super fan of his, and I know that you and I disagree on that, but this is a guy who just main evented a WrestleMania, and now he's just don't get me wrong. I know we're trying to establish the Ring of Honor world title and all that. I get that. But it just feels like there haven't been a ton of opportunities for us to sink our teeth into whatever he's doing. You go back just over a year ago and we saw that Arthur
we don't
Ashe
disagree. Let me kind of jump in when you use that word disagree. I just said he's not AJ Styles.
Right.
That's all I've ever said, in my opinion.
And I agree he's not AJ Styles. I think he's better than AJ Styles.
Yeah, well, that's your opinion. I don't. And by the way, I never saw Harley Race, Bruiser Brody, Pat O'Connor, Buddy Rogers, Terry Funk, Dory Funk, Jack Briscoe kick anybody with their boots repeatedly.
You remember how all those guys you just listed used to jump off the top rope and do a bunch of spins and flips? Because I don't remember them doing that either.
Yeah, well, that's because none of them were 5'2" and weigh 107 pounds.
And that's what you're saying AJ weighs? And
no, I'm saying Bryan Danielson is a lot smaller than the guys I'm talking about.
I'm saying AJ is the aerial artist. If you're
but AJ is also he is a solid technician.
Oh, I'm not arguing that. I think
he's a technician.
I think any given day of the week, you could argue that AJ is the best wrestler in the game. I just think when you look at the body of work from Bryan Danielson, dude, he's just been on another level for a long time, in my opinion. But that's what's great is we get to get on these programs and even with our friends.
It's nothing against Bryan Danielson. I think he's a hell of a guy.
Yeah.
But okay. AJ got to WWE through a long route. Who knows how he got there, right? Mm-hmm. Is AJ going to AEW?
No.
Someone left WWE and went to AEW. That tells you how much he meant to WWE.
Well, hang on now. They made him an offer and he didn't accept it.
Yeah.
I mean, he walked right out of WrestleMania and walked across the street to AEW. He had enough of the Vince McMahon WWE. And I do wonder about all these talent that jumped to AEW. How many of them felt like they had reached their ceiling in a WWE led by Vince McMahon that now maybe look back and say, well, shit, if I would have known Hunter was going to be in charge, maybe I would have wrote it out, because Hunter helped make a lot of these guys.
Exactly. Hunter made Bryan. I was there in New York with you.
New Orleans, you mean? Yeah.
New Orleans, that match. He made him.
Yeah.
Hunter made him, but at the same time, all these guys are bringing back. You think they're getting paid the same they're getting paid when they left?
I think they all left for raises.
Left for what?
I think they all got more money and fewer dates with AEW.
Yeah, but I'm saying, do you think they came back with the raises to WWE?
Well, I don't think anybody's come back yet, right? Except
Braun Strowman just did.
He never went to AEW.
No,
I'm glad you brought up Braun Strowman.
They didn't want him at AEW.
Well, there's that. Let's talk about Braun here for a minute.
No. I mean, I don't know if that's true. I don't know whether that's the case or not. But certainly, if there
was an opportunity to sign him for sure, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, for whatever reason, it's nothing against Braun. I'm just saying it didn't happen. So, you look around at projects and you realize that you're still a young kid and you need to make money. You got to have a family. But I can guarantee you that the checkbook isn't as big as it was. It's the way the world works. But guys that are coming back looking for work are like Carl and I'm sure they didn't get big raises. Do you think they did?
I know the pay scale got way out of whack in 2019,
exactly.
And I think it's getting more and more right sized.
Yeah, they had to.
Yeah,
I mean, but so I just don't. I mean, I think it's great that everybody. Most important is everybody's got a job and working.
Yes.
But I don't think that that time where you're passing out money on either Tony's part or WWE's part, where they're just passing out money to bring people back in when you got so many hours of TV to produce, and you need bodies and you need guys, and there are injuries going on left and right. People getting hurt more often now on a more regular basis, both companies. And I think they both realize they need to be deep.
Well, let's talk about something else that's not that deep. It's Wooooo Wings. I can't believe this is real. Your very own virtual concept. It's a virtual restaurant concept where you can order the legendary flavors and world championship wings on Uber Eats and the Postmates app. Wooooo Wings is now open in Nashville, San Antonio, Charlotte, Jacksonville, Los Angeles, New York, Tuscaloosa, Huntsville, Concord, Richmond Hill, and so many more coming soon. For a full list of Ric Flair's new Wooooo Wings, check out RicFlairWings.com. As a virtual restaurant, Wooooo Wings is always looking to partner with existing restaurants in major metro areas like Atlanta or Raleigh or St. Louis or Charleston. So tell your favorite sports bar or local restaurant that you want Wooooo Wings in your town, and to visit RicFlairWings.com for more information on how to become a partner and add more to their bottom line. If you're in a Wooooo Wing city, order from Uber Eats or Postmates today. Try the only chicken wings worthy of carrying the name of the 16-time world heavyweight champion. Woo! That's RicFlairWings.com, and look for Wooooo Wings on Uber Eats and the Postmates app. So you brought him up. I want to close on it. Braun Strowman, man, he was all in the news this past week. I think I've only met him one time. I think I met him with you.
Really nice guy.
That's what I've always heard. But boy, it does feel as if he's got some people talking, and maybe not in the most positive light. Maybe
really, explain.
Well, he was pretty critical online about the style of match that he performs with a giant like he did at Crown Jewel, and perhaps maybe there's another style out there that the internet fans really enjoy, which is a more acrobatic style. He was very dismissive of that style and critical of that style, and it created a big debate. And now there's been reports come out since he's gone back. And again, I'm not there. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's reports online that say he shows up late to the buildings. He leaves early. He's got an ego, blah, blah, blah. And then last week we saw on Dynamite, Jeff Jarrett come out and say he's a fake giant wearing red skinny jeans, working for the Banana Nose Circus. And I thought, boy, I don't know why all of a sudden everybody has heat with Braun Strowman, but apparently they do. What have you heard about Braun? What's your experience?
Was Jeff talking about Hunter?
Banana Nose is a Hunter shot, in my opinion. Yes.
Wow. I guess he's flat. Wow. I guess Jeff's planning on retiring at AEW.
Did you think he was going to get brought back to WWE?
Who?
Jeff. I think Jeff was a Vince guy. I don't think Jeff was a Hunter guy.
No. I didn't know whether he was going to be going back or not. I'm saying that under the current regime, that's probably not the best way to get back.
Well, I'll tell you, when I asked Jeff about it on our show, he kind of laughed about it. He thought the Hunter would laugh about it too. So,
well, this has got to make the news. I'm going to make this statement, okay? And this has got to make the news, and you're not going to like this.
All right.
But Jeff, Bischoff, JR, and Bruce Pritchard don't need to work anywhere because of you.
What does that mean?
They make that much money off their podcast.
Oh, no. Come on now.
It's got to make the news that if you were raised since Steve Kaufman, I'll kill you.
Well, it's not factual.
Bischoff was bankrupt.
Oh, Lord. Will you stop?
I'm being serious. How much money have you made? How much money have you made, Bruce?
Ladies and gentlemen, we have.
No, I'm serious. How much money have you made those guys?
I don't know.
Well, it's good. I'm not knocking it.
Okay.
But working with you is not something that is going to be dismissed as being overlooked. I won't let it happen.
Right.
They don't have to work. So Jeff can do whatever the fuck he wants to do. And if he wants to fire away like that, I respect Jeff. You know that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, if he doesn't have to worry about going back to work anywhere, because he probably got money from wrestling that he saved. I know he lives a good life, but he's got this podcast making all kinds of money. Same with Bruce.
Yeah.
You know, Bruce is doing great, and he deserves everything he's got at WWE. He's all over my documentary too, and very complimentary. But you know, you got to be honest about a lot of people that you are responsible for making a lot of money.
Well, that's nice of you to say.
Hey, no, it's the truth. It's not a debate.
No, it's not a debate.
Thank you. Just take that.
I will take that, and I'll take that we're wrapping up this week's show. We're going to be back next week.
You hate taking credit for stuff. It's the truth.
Well,
they didn't create their own podcast. Trust me. As much as Jim Ross might want to think that you work for him, and according to him, Jim is the mind. Even at the Mongo thing, he had to plug his podcast of all fucking times, right? But he clearly works for you and should be kissing your ass. And this better make the news.
Well, we're going to be in the news next week. We're going to be talking about Starrcade 87. A lot of people believe this is the time Vince McMahon and the WWF sabotaged Starrcade. It was all downhill after this. The good, the bad, and the ugly. We're no longer in Greensboro. We're no longer at the Omni. We're going to Chicago, and we're going to have Ric Flair recapture his world title from Ronnie Garvin. It's I can't believe it, but the 35th anniversary of Starrcade 87. That's what we'll be talking about next week here on the program. And then in 2 weeks, we'll be back talking about Hulk Hogan. In 3 weeks, what do you know? Another Ask Nate Anything. And a month from now, we'll be talking about Mean Gene right here on To Be the Man.
And
we'll see you next week.
In a month or so, I can't name the date, we'll be talking about the greatest documentary in the history of professional wrestling. Ta-da!
Stay tuned.
Finding Flair. God damn it. I still haven't found myself.
We'll keep looking next week.
I'm at the fraternity right now. And by the way, if I make it to your place for Thanksgiving, tell Megan not to look at my watch, okay?
we will have no watches at the table. It'll be a rule this year, just in case. We'll
Thanks,
see you
man.
guys next week.